The Industrial Revolution and the technological advancement associated with it has significantly improved our quality of life. However, this improvement has come with a very heavy price, the price of the air that we breathe. In this episode of the Global Healthcare Archives, we look at the problem that's literally leaving us breathless: air pollution and its impact on human life. Hollywood has painted quite a bleak and depressing future for us in movies like The Waterworld, Avatar, and The Day After Tomorrow. These sepia-toned glimpses of the future depict a brutal landscape caused by climate change and human intervention with nature. But look around you, this might actually not be fiction. According to Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, we could see climate disaster on a massive scale by the year 2030 if climate change is not combated aggressively. This is underlined by the fact that air pollution is the world's fourth most lethal killer and the cause of 8.9 million annual deaths worldwide. This means that in every 4 seconds, someone, somewhere on the planet dies from air pollution. Closer home, India has the dubious distinction of contributing to more than 50% of the entries in the top 50 most polluted cities in the world. Air pollution has become a global phenomenon, affecting all age groups. Until recently, air pollution was not considered a cause of death in patients. However, small steps are being taken to remedy this. India observes the National Pollution Prevention Day on December 2nd in memory of the people who lost their lives in the Bhopal gas disaster. This tragic industrial accident occurred in 1984 when methyl isocyanate leaked out of the Union Carbide plant on the night of December 2nd and killed thousands. In the UK, the death of 9-year-old Ella Casey Deborah due to severe asthma bouts has recently brought about a change in the UK law after she became the first person in the UK to have air pollution listed as the cause of death in her death certificate. Most air pollutants are small, invisible particles. Our body has several means of getting rid of these inhaled particles. In the airway, mucus secretions coat particles so that they can be coughed up more easily. Additionally, cells lining the airways have tiny filaments called cilia that can brush inhaled particles out of the lungs. However, very small pollutants can break through the lung barrier. This foreign body invasion results in severe lung inflammation. The enclosure of these bodies by inflammatory cells results in the deeper penetration of these foreign particles, causing chronic lung irritation. This is the basic pathogenesis of respiratory diseases secondary to air pollution. These particles further enter the bloodstream where they again cause inflammation and deposits, leading to complications such as a stroke or myocardial infarction. Now let's talk about air pollution related lung diseases. Although air pollution may be the result in the causation and exacerbation of several lung diseases, the most important among them are asthma, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, lung infection, and lung cancer. Air pollution related lung diseases cause symptoms similar to those of other respiratory diseases, namely chest tightness or pain, coughing, especially at night, shortness of breath, or difficulty in breathing and wheezing. Additionally, skin may be an important but often overlooked site of exposure and initial sensitization for certain occupational and environmental agents. Studies have suggested that skin exposure to environmental allergens facilitated by an impaired skin barrier function may promote the development of atopic dermatitis and eventually atopic asthma, supporting the atopic march hypothesis. Unfortunately, healthcare practitioners tend to misdiagnose these dermatological manifestations and treat just the symptoms and not the underlying cause with antihistamines, which result in adverse effects such as drowsiness and mood swings. Therefore, these diseases must be diagnosed accurately to treat the patient optimally. So what is the diagnostic protocol that healthcare practitioners should follow in these patients? A variety of tests such as lung function tests, spirometry, peak flow, chest x-rays, and other imaging such as CT scan are available to diagnose respiratory disease. However, these tests often do not help differentiate air pollution related illness from other lung disorders. The most powerful tool in a healthcare practitioner's arsenal is taking a thorough case and medical history of the patient. The practitioner should take a thorough patient history of exposure, symptoms, lung function test, and exposure to high concentration of known pollutants in the air at work or at home. Additionally, patients with pre-existing lung disorders such as asthma or COPD or those with dermatological effects must be asked whether their symptoms worsened when exposed to air pollution. The diagnosis may become clear if several patients in the same occupation and with similar exposures develop the same lung disorder. Thus, a very meticulous data repository of patient symptoms must be maintained by each healthcare practitioner to identify these patterns. The primary objective for treatment is the relief of symptoms. Bronchodilators, which open airways, may relieve some symptoms. If the symptoms are severe, people may need supplemental oxygen or mechanical ventilation. The best method to combat these diseases is the reduction in air pollution. While reducing the use of fossil fuels, coal-fired electricity, planting of trees, and other oft-repeated measures are an ideal solution for the long term, healthcare practitioners must diagnose and treat these diseases promptly to stem the associated morbidity in the short term. It is often said prevention is better than cure. So what preventive measures can a healthcare practitioner prescribe to patients to prevent these diseases? Educating patients on limiting exposure to pollutants in the environment and workplace is a very good start. Regular screening of patients exposed to substances that can damage the lungs can allow disorders to be identified as early as possible. Protective devices such as respirators, dust masks, and other equipment can limit exposure to pollutants. Patients with lung diseases must be asked not to spend a lot of time engaged in outdoor exercises. Vincent van Gogh said, "Great things are done by a series of small things brought together." You as a healthcare practitioner can bring about this change through the prompt diagnosis and treatment of these pollution-related diseases. Come join the revolution and make a change. We'll be back with another episode on another topic. Do let us know about the topics that you'd like us to cover in the comment section below. In the meantime, have a wonderful week and we'll see you on the other side.